All right, guys, well, I am back today with something that has been on the list ever since I discovered it. The new Rossi Tuffy, chambered in 45 long Colt, but it also shoots 410. Now, this Rossi survival rifle is pretty awesome because it combines two cartridges that make an effective survival package, whether it's large game with a powerful 45 long Colt that you see strapped right in here on the side, or whether it's varmint or birds with 410 shot. This makes a very versatile rifle. Now, this video is actually brought to you by Shooters Express. Without Shooters Express's support on this video, it would not be possible. Now, every time I'm swinging through Belmont, I like to stop in to Shooters Express and say hi. So a big thanks to these guys. But right now, this is a very affordable package. When you are looking at something like this, you don't have to worry about completely breaking the bank, and the MSRP is right around $3 bills. So not too bad when you consider the versatility. Now, this is a 16-inch barrel gun, and that is pretty cool because it's nimble and compact and about 2.5 inches shorter than what a shotgun can be, because this is a 45 long Colt rifle that just also happens to fire 410 shotgun shells. So it transfers as a rifle, not a shotgun, and that's why we can get away with that 16-inch barrel length. Now, it kicked out a shell right there. I've already sighted this guy in with 45 long Colt. And that barrel is super nimble. It's just ultra lightweight. It does come with the pick rail at the top, and you can see we've got a large frame, a little red dot on there from Rossi. That's incredibly nice as well because it's super nimble, lightweight, and compact, and that dot helps give you a really nice aiming point. So whether you've got this where you're backpacking in, or you're throwing this in a side-by-side or a truck gun, the versatility of this is absolutely awesome. Now, the barrel itself is a reasonably thick profile, not like a pencil barrel, because this is for 45 long Colt. It's not going to be as thin as a 410 barrel, but it doesn't add a ton of weight to the overall package. In fact, it's fairly lightweight. It's got a sling swivel up at the front, a really nice ergonomic grip. The brake action lever or button is located right here, and that's fairly easy to actuate. And the action itself is pretty good. You could see it did kick out that shell with no issues whatsoever. The pick rail mounts up rock solid, and this thumb hole stock is pretty nice as well. Not the most comfortable stock I've ever used, but pretty darn good for what it is. Now, the stock is super short and truncated, so you are going to choke up and get a real bend in your arm right here, but honestly not that big of a deal because I like this. You could strap this to a backpack, throw this in a passenger seat of a side-by-side, and not worry about something like that. The safety right here is easy to actuate, very intuitive to pop off. It's got a very audible and tactile click, very easy to actuate that, and then you just like cock the hammer, pull the trigger, and you are good to go. Make sure it's clear for like the 5th time, and I'll show you guys the trigger. Now, the trigger on here is just a crisp break. There's no real take up on this, and it's just a nice crisp break. I'll try to show you guys a little bit closer to the camera. So love the trigger on that, and it's a fairly accurate little rifle. Now, I've got 1 round on paper here, and what we're going to do is shoot a few more of the 45 long Colt from AAC. AAC started loading 250 grain hollow points, so those are pretty freaking awesome from AAC, and a huge shout out to AAC for the ammo support on this one. But that's this guy right here. We're going to fire a few more of these to see how this groups at about 20 yards to 50 yards. And then we're going to fire maybe a cowboy load, because 45 cowboy action loads are pretty common, almost no recoil there. Then we're going to fire a rifle slug, and we're going to see where all of those hit to give you a better understanding of the capabilities of a 16-inch rifled barrel. Then we're going to move on to some bird shot and do some spread tests and patterns, and then give you guys a summary after that. But I am loving this nimble, compact survival rifle. And again, you can take out large game up close like a deer, or you can take out varmints up close, squirrel hunting with this. If a snake is getting a little too close to camp, the list goes on and on of things you can utilize this for. So enough talking, let's shoot this thing, and we'll kind of update you guys after that. So we are at 25 yards, and I'm gonna fire 3 shots of the AAC at a fresh target right there. We'll check the group size at 25 yards, and then from there we will shoot some of those cowboy action rounds as well as a slug. So let's take some shots. So here is our group at 25 yards. Definitely not the greatest in the world, but that is going to be because there's shallow rifling in this rifle to accommodate the 410. What we want to see is it just effective enough. Now at 25 yards, this is plenty effective with the AAC hollow points. Let's switch to the cowboy action loads, shoot at the same spot, and then we'll step it back. All right, I've got 3 rounds of the AAC, or not the AAC, the cowboy action loads, those lead round nose, and we'll see how these do at this distance. Let's go take a look at that group. All right, well, about the same group size. I wouldn't say that's dramatically smaller than the other one. Maybe a touch smaller, and maybe it likes lead round nose a little bit better, but we do see a noticeable drop in the rounds of the groups versus here to here. I'm gonna actually leave it sighted in where it's at as kind of a hybrid between both of those. Now those lead round nose are traveling much slower, but something to consider. Let's try one more round of the rifled slug, or maybe 2, to see where it prints. So I have 3 of the rifled slugs. We're going to be firing 2 on this target because I want to save 1 for a water jug test. So you'll want to make sure you say for that test, we're actually going to be firing some of these rounds at water jugs to see the damage pretty close up. Let's fire 2 rounds at the exact same spot. Definitely a little bit more oomph out of these guys. Let's go check. Again, we are aiming at this point. These are our 2 shotgun slug rounds, about the same size as the cowboy action rounds, but definitely a little bit more oomph coming out of the end of the barrel. I could feel it just a touch more in my shoulder. It was equivalent to about those 45 long Colts. Now let's step it back, put up a fresh target, and see where it hits at 50 with the 45 long Colt. So now we're at 50 yards, and I'm gonna fire 5 shots at the steel. Now this will give me a good indication of where things are hitting at on a full-size target at 50 yards, and you guys can hear the dings along with me. Four out of 5 were hits, but I can already see the spread is pretty big. Let's go check it out. So there's our swinging target, and after that I also shot another 5-shot group without adjusting anything, and here are our hits on paper. I was aiming at the number 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I believe 5 right there. So these are our 5 hits. So little larger than the size of my hand. I would say close to a 10-inch group at 50 yards. That's a pretty big spread. Now let's take a look at the steel target where I was not aiming at a precise aiming dot. We had 1 go right and low, and 1, 2, 3, 4 hits on target. So we are well over a foot spread on steel. I believe this is a little bit larger because I didn't have a precise aiming dot. I was just aiming towards the center. So something to consider with this rifle. Now we're going to be firing from about 7 yards. First up is the 250 grain AAC 45 long Colt. Oh, that was pretty cool. So there's our entrance hole, and man, did that pack a punch. Split the water jug open, blew out the bottom. Very effective, I would say, up close and personal. Now for the lead rifled slug. Let's take a shot right here. Whoo! So this was a great and interesting result. Our entrance hole was right here, but it did not come out the back. It actually blew the pressure back out the front, so dumped a ton of energy on impact. So the 45 long Colt definitely had better penetration, but both of them seem to be very effective up close. All right, guys, now we're going to be doing the spread test at 5 and 7 yards with number 7.5-inch bird shot. Let's take our first shot. Oh, I actually have to stop and show you guys the results on this one because the spread is pretty big at this distance. Now, I expected the spread to be pretty big because that rifling, as the shot comes out, spins and expands almost instantly. And look at the spread on this at 5 yards. So aiming right here, and we already have spread completely off the target. So looks like 5 yards is going to be about the max effectiveness of this at this distance. So for birds up in the air, I don't know if it's going to be able to make those hits, especially with the spread like this. Next up, we are at 7 yards, and we're going to be firing this number 4 shot. Now, I can't remember if it's number 4 buck or number 4 bird shot. I think it's number 4 bird shot, but we will see what it does at 7 yards. So that looks like it was number 4 bird shot, and you can see the spread is massive at 7 yards. It definitely opened up. We have shot down here. The pattern is very sparse, not going to be very effective. The pattern goes all the way up here. We are hitting parts of the target up here. So we have about a potentially 3-foot spread at 7 yards. I'm gonna do number 7.5 at 7 yards as well. Then we'll do a 3-yard shot. The pattern is still very sparse, more on target, but I'm gonna walk up to 3 yards and give that a try. Now here's what I would consider an incredibly effective range. Here is the 3-yard spread. We have about a foot spread at 3 yards. So if you were walking down a trail and something popped out at you, a copperhead snake, whatever it may be, and you felt like you needed to shoot it for whatever reason, this is a very effective pattern at 3 yards. Boy, oh boy, do I have a lot to discuss about this rifle. This is why you subscribe to the channel, because we do full deep dives into budget options that may or may not work, and I feel like this is a very interesting result. Again, I want to give a huge shout out to Shooters Express for making this one possible. These guys allow us to try out new things, and Shooters Express has been a huge support. Now, love the ergonomics, love the feel, almost no recoil with this guy, even with the 45 long Colt and slugs. This thing absorbs the recoil, very nimble, very handy. The rail stayed locked up rock solid. The action's pretty good. The trigger is absolutely great. But let's talk about that accuracy. That accuracy is very interesting. Now, again, we are trying to do a jack of all trades option, master of none here. We're not going to get precise accuracy like a hunting rifle because this is not a hunting rifle. It's going to have different lands and grooves. It's going to be a little bit shallower because this is going to also run 410 shotgun shells. In summary, if you are 25 yards and in, potentially about 50 yards and in with the right load when it comes to rifled slugs or 45 long Colt, pretty effective as a potential hunting option. 25 yards and in, if you're in a survival situation, you've been camped out all day looking for that large game, and they're like 40 yards and in, I'm taking that shot with this thing, and I feel fairly confident you could get them with that 45 long Colt. The 410 slug dumps a ton of energy, but it doesn't penetrate as far as I thought it would. So saw another interesting result with this guy, and that's just kind of 410 out of a 16-inch barrel. Now, the other thing to mention is if you were looking at this for a bird gun like I initially thought in a survival application, the spread is just going to be too great. You are not going to hit anything unless you are about 7 yards and in, and even 7 yards seems a little dicey. Now, if you're walking down the trail and something just pops out, boom, right there, right at your feet, 3 yards and in, kapow! This thing's gonna get it and obliterate it just fine. If you've got something in a weird area, or you are taking a shot at something close, if you are creeping through those woods and you see a squirrel up in the tree and you wanna get that up close, a 410 shotgun is gonna be much more effective than this 45 long Colt because that rifling is gonna throw the spread. But apparently if you get close enough, I'd say again, 5 to 7 yards, like right up underneath it, this would work. In summary, it's good for survival situations. It's good for like a little camp rifle. I feel like if something was running them on you at camp, and again, we're talking like a small little camp area, boom, a 45 long Colt would definitely put it down up close. Reloads are gonna be a little bit slow, but honestly, the way this breaks open and kicks out the shell, it's actually fairly nice to reload that. Also, you can load up a wide variety of rounds right here in the quiver. So it's pretty cool. You know, I'm kind of torn about this. I love it. I'm glad I have it. Would this be the survival rifle that I would pick? Not 100% sure, but it's definitely a good option, and I'm glad I got to try it out. Definitely not disappointed I owned it, but it does fill very specific niches, and again, it is kind of like a jack of all trades survival option, but definitely a master of none. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below if you would try one of these out. Love to hear about it. Again, thanks to Shooters Express. Have a good one.